And now I give the floor to the distinguished representative of Slovenia to introduce an address by the head of state.
Madam President, distinguished delegates, Excellencies, I had the pleasure and honor to announce the pre-recorded statement of Mr. Borut Pahor, President of the Republic of Slovenia. Mr. President.
Excellencies, ladies and gentlemen, dear friends, Mr. President, we are celebrating beautiful anniversary of the United Nations. 75 years ago, our predecessors were able to utilize their experience of a devastating world war and took the lead to building a vision of a better world. A world of prosperity and peace, a world of global well-being, a world of global cooperation serving future generations. They established the United Nations. And here we are today, dear friends, a family of nations facing no less devastating threats: a global health and economic crisis, degradation of environment, all that threaten the well-being of our kind and our home, our planet. The best means of addressing the current global threats is effective multilateralism. Less multilateral cooperation would only magnify problems and challenges we are facing in all our societies. To face the threats to humanity nowadays, to build our common resilience, ladies and gentlemen, no one can be strong enough alone. We need to be vigilant, active, responsible, brave and wise, together. Ladies and gentlemen, in a rapidly changing global environment, we increasingly depend on new technologies and digital infrastructure. New technologies and artificial intelligence have already become the backbone of our daily lives that keep business and essential public service running. We need to frame them in service of humankind. Slovenia makes an effort in this direction with the very first UNESCO Global Center for Artificial Intelligence established in Ljubljana last November. One of the main challenges is cybersecurity. According to our view, cyberspace should be secure, global, open, free, and inclusive. The fragmentation and weakening of international security regimes is worrying. This should only strengthen our commitment for effective, treaty-based international arms control, disarmament, and non-proliferation. All pressing proliferation issues should be solved by diplomatic and peaceful means. Precondition for achieving sustainable peace and reconciliation is to deal with grave violation of human rights. We therefore support International Criminal Court as a central institution to find impunity. We will continue to engage in partnership and cooperation in the United Nations and other fora. Slovenia is especially active in landmines clearance efforts affecting the lives of civilians, in particular children. I am very glad to report that ITF Enhancing Human Security, a Slovenian non-profit organization, managed to maintain its operational capacity and presence in the field in the midst of the pandemic. Mr. President, Sustainable Development Goals are a clear roadmap for green and healthy planet. Slovenia, as the EU presidency in second half of 2021, will put environmental protection very high on the agenda. The COP26 next year should be a real game changer. Recently, and for the first time, Slovenia contributed €1 million to the United Nations Green Climate Fund. Excellencies, Slovenia shares the awareness of biodiversity loss as an urgent global challenge. We put the right to clean drinking water in our Constitution. We recognize preservation of water resource as a key element to protect biodiversity. On Slovenia's initiative, the United Nations proclaimed a World Bee Day, celebrated on 20th of May, recognizing the importance of bees and other pollinators for food security, biodiversity, and sustainable development. My personal advocacy to environmental protection is both global and local, based on introducing public debates on climate change, establishing committee for climate policy, and supporting youth movements. I would like to reaffirm Slovenia's and my personal commitment to stop an unprecedented rate of biodiversity loss and halt climate change effects. This is why I joined the Leaders' Pledge for Nature. Ladies and gentlemen, the COVID-19 crisis brought about a stark realization of the importance of solidarity and cooperation among ourselves and within multilateral organizations, such as the World Health Organization. COVID-19 pandemic has left devastating social and economic consequences. Lives depend on accurate and timely information. A full exercise of the rights to freedom of expression, access to public information, and the protection of journalists are key to well-being of our societies. My country, Slovenia, came into being inspired by the quest for democracy and fundamental rights. We know, and the current COVID-19 crisis has confirmed, that human rights can never be taken for granted. The situation of the most vulnerable groups, those without sufficient health care, and those that are prosecuted and historically marginalized, has further worsened. We need to stress, once again, that there is no place for discrimination based on any personal status in modern societies. Nobody should be left behind. As we mark 25 years of adoption of the Beijing Declaration and Platform for Action, we celebrate gains in gender equality and women empowerment. Dear friends, 75 years ago, our mothers and fathers said, never again. They said no to another total war, pointless death and suffering, no to nationalistic and extremist tendencies, no to a life in uncertainty and fear. I, as well as many of you, grew up in a peace and prosperity, in a world built on the values and ideas of the UN founders. Yes, the UN has failed to prevent all the conflicts, could and should oftentimes react quicker, better, more determined. Nevertheless, we have to agree that the world has been a better place since October 1945 because of the United Nations. However, ladies and gentlemen, the world today is a very different place than 75 years ago. Today's world is less predictable and less secure than it was yesterday. Amidst the COVID-19 pandemic, the very fact that we are celebrating this important anniversary in this unprecedented way, each of us from her or his different part of the world clearly indicates that we are capable to adapt to do our joint work for the one humanity and the one planet that we are all share. Let me therefore take this opportunity to reaffirm Slovenia's commitment to the multilateral cooperation in the framework of the UN and other international and regional organizations, including within the scope of its EU membership and presidency in 2021. With this in mind, it is vital that progress is made on respect for human rights, international law, and the rule of law, and on a comprehensive, inclusive, and sustainable development of our societies. Let me therefore take this opportunity to reaffirm Slovenia's commitment to the multilateral cooperation in the framework of the UN and other international and regional organizations, including within the scope of its EU membership and presidency in 2021. With this in mind, it is vital that progress is made on respect for human rights, international law, and the rule of law, and on a comprehensive, inclusive, and sustainable development of our societies. The world is increasingly connected and interdependent. The COVID-19 crisis has undoubtedly shown that. We and the UN as an institution have to change and grow with it. I am convinced we can best address global challenges through our joint action. 75 years ago, our predecessors have built the first bridge. Today, our world is a tight network of bridges, and I ask you, for the sake of the present and future generations, for the sake of your loved ones and yourself, do not tear them down. I wish to congratulate all of us. I wish to congratulate and thank our predecessors who were brave and visionary enough to start it all. I wish to congratulate generations of our parents and our own generation to keep it going despite all the obstacles. And I wish our youth, who is slowly taking over, the courage and wisdom to do better than us. I would like to give the final word to the eminent Slovenian novelist, Borut Pahor, also known as the oldest known survivor of the Nazi concentration camps, and who is, as its 107 years of age, still outspoken fighters against all totalitarianisms. He says, humanity has enough wisdom and power to find a path to lead us out of the crisis towards becoming a more ethical human being. I believe him. Hvala. Thank you.
On behalf of the General Assembly, I wish to thank the President of the Republic of Slovenia for the statement just made.